All right, so welcome to 4.7. This is distance versus time graphs, and it's really day 2 of that. And so let's review what we did in the last one. Right, we found the speed of the vehicle. Mostly it was a car, but here we're doing a bike. So each box is worth 4. So this section we went 12 miles in 1 hour. And so that's 12 miles per hour. Section B, it's flat, right? We went 0 miles in 2 hours. 0 miles per hour. You're stopped. In section C, we are gone. Now remember, you have to do the whole section. There's 2 boxes. They're worth 4 each. So we went 8 miles in 1 hour, which is 8 miles per hour. And section D, right, went from 20 to 24. We went 4 miles in 1 hour, which is 4 miles per hour. When was she moving at a constant speed? Hopefully you wrote section A. She's moving at a constant speed. Just a review. C, that is speeding up. All right. And D, when you're bent that way, is slowing down or decreasing speed. And notice she went a total of 24 miles in 5 hours, right? Right, and you could actually figure out her average speed, 24 divided by 5, which is a little less than 5 miles per hour. Okay, now, you're going to draw these today, okay? Now, the number one thing today, you have to know the difference between, say, 4 miles per hour, which means you go 4 miles every hour, and 4 miles, all right? And we're going to talk about that. Units are important. Read carefully today is my major advice. All right, so you're going to draw things like that, and we're going to have sections like this. And what's that about is we're going to have graphs where you're how many miles away from home. And so when you see this is you're not going a negative speed, right? How could you go a negative speed? You're going backwards? Well, sort of, but what you're really doing here is going back home, and we'll talk about that. All right, so let's see what this first one says. Plot a graph that shows you driving 100 miles in 2 hours. All right, so you want to go 100 miles in 2 hours. Now, it doesn't say you could be speeding up, you could be slowing down, but if it doesn't say, let's just go straight, all right? Now, let's understand, you should go, right? That's 50 miles per hour, right? That's, right? It's 100 miles in 2 hours, right? 100 miles in 2 hours is 50 miles per hour. Okay, and then let's see what it says to do next. Oh, and by the way, all these graphs are going to start at 0, 0, unless it says otherwise, okay? Then you drive another 100 miles in the next 3 hours. So if you go on 100 and you go another 100, right, you should be at 200. So we're going to get to 200 in the next 3 hours. Well, we had 2 hours, so now 3 hours, we should be at 5 hours. So at 5 hours, we should be at 200. So we'll be there. And again, doesn't say speeding up or slowing down, so let's just make a straight line. And again, that's not 100 miles per hour. It's approximately 33.3 miles per hour. They'd stopped the car for 3 hours. So what does that look like? We learned, right, when you're stopped, you get a horizontal line. So for 3 more hours. So now we're at 8, right? Because 5 plus 3 is 8. Then drive at a constant speed for 2 hours until you have driven 250 miles. So we have to drive till 10. We have to get over here to 10, and we have to get to 250, right? So we have to get to 250 in 10. So we do that. And that's the sort of thing you'll be doing. You're going to create the graph from the instructions. All right, miles per hour and miles are not the same. All right, so this is the key. This is really the only tricky part of this lesson. Plot a graph of a car driving 50 miles in 3 hours. Right, so in 3 hours, it has to go a total of 50 miles. So that's that, okay? It went 50 miles in 3 hours. Now, That is not 50 miles per hour, right? Not even close. 3 goes into 50, what, about 40, I'm 40. Like 8, what's 3 times 18 is 51, right? But 3 times 8 is 24, yeah. So it's around 18 miles per hour, 17 point something. All right. Now have the car travel 25 miles in the next 3 hours. So we're going to go 25 more miles, 75 miles total, all right? But it's got to take 3 more hours. So 3 plus 3, we're now at 6 hours. So it's 6 hours, we're only going to go here. So notice, we know we're slowing down there because it bent down. Okay, so far we're going 50 miles, then 25 miles. Plot another graph starting at 0 of a car. All right, so we're going to do a competing graph of a car starting at 0 driving 50 miles per hour for 3 hours. Okay, do that. See the difference. Right, if you're going 50 miles per hour, you're going there. And then another 50 miles in another hour is 100. All right, so there's the difference. Compare these two. 50 miles in 3 hours is the first one. 50 miles per hour for 3 hours is the one I just did in red. Right? 50 miles per hour means you go 50 miles every single hour. So you went 150 miles. Right? You have to know the difference between those two. Now have the car travel 25 miles per hour for the next 3 hours. All right, so each box is worth 25. So we're going to go 25 miles every single hour for the next 3 hours. So this was about miles per hour, and the original one is about miles. Right, so you really have to read the instructions, right? You read whether it says miles per hour or it says miles. Right? If you don't do that, you're going to do the wrong thing and get wrong graphs and wrong answers. Okay, you've been warned here. Let's see. Plot a graph that shows you increasing your speed as you drive 60 miles away from home in 2 hours. So in 2 hours, we want to end up at 60, and we want to be increasing our speed. So that means you start slow and it bends up. So anything that's bent. So when you do this on a test, make sure that you can see that this is curved, right? And it has to be curved in that direction. Then start to slow down, so we're going to bend it the other way, as you drive at an average speed of 40 miles per hour for 2 hours. All right, so we got to go 40 miles every hour. So an hour later, you should be at 100. Right? And then another hour later, you should be up here at 140, right? Because we're going 40 miles every single hour, all right? So that means we're going to go 80 miles, right? We're at 60, now we're at 140. 40 miles per hour for 2 hours is 80 miles. All right, please don't, if you don't understand that, take a moment. Now, again, to show you're slowing down, you need to bend this curve. So don't draw a straight line. So anything, right, we're finding the average speed. So even though I missed this dot, all right, we're doing an average speed, right? The average speed was 40, right? It was 80 miles in 2 hours. Oops, I missed. Oof. No, I just checked my work. That's how I knew, right? In 2 hours, my fault. Well, we should be up here. Thank you. All right. Whoops. All right. There it is. Okay. So 80 miles in 2 hours is 40 miles per hour. All right. So that's what your graph should look like at this point. Let me fix that. All right. Next. So now it says, then stop the car for 2 hours. Hopefully that's easy enough. Right, so now we're at 6 because we had 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours. Last. Then drive 40 miles, right? So we have to go 40 more miles, and they want it to take 2 hours. Okay, so 40 miles. So we're going to be at 8, right? 2 more, right? Because we're at 6 plus 8, so we're going to be 8, and we got to go 40 more miles. So we should end at 180. Let me make it this a different color. And it says constant speed. So this section has to be straight. right? And that's 40 miles in 2 hours. That's 20 miles an hour, right? But that is the key, right? This section is really the toughest because you're going 40 miles an hour, all right, but at an average speed. So you're going faster than that at first and slower than that at second. That's why you miss this dot. And then because it says it's going at you're decreasing your speed, you're slowing down. Okay, let's try another one. All right, so now this, it does not have a negative slope. I've been saying over and over again, if it's going down, it's got a negative slope. But this is a little different. This graph is different because it says distance away. And what this is let's see what this says. The graph shows Mike biking home. So he's 24 miles away from home. That's what this graph is showing, okay? So then he's going to bike home, so the graph is going in that direction. So you're going to find each section like we always do. It's just going to face the other way. So in section A there, let's see, each box is worth 3 here. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, right? So each box is worth 3 miles. So he went 6 miles in 1 hour. So that's 6 miles an hour, which is slow for biking. Then in section B, we obviously just went 0 miles per hour. He rested. All right, so that's 0 miles per hour. And then section C, let's see what happens here. Well, we got 18 and we get back home. So we went 18 miles and it took 2 hours, right, from 2 to 4. And so that's 9 miles per hour. Don't make anything negative here. Yeah, those are slopes, but they are not negative slopes because the way the graph is constructed. We're biking back home, right? And so you assume when you get back to 0 on these graphs, we're back home. That's what 0 is, right? On the other graphs, you start at 0, you're starting at home. Okay, so Susan here is riding her bike. She's starting home. She goes away from home, and each box here is worth 4, it looks like. So she gets 28 miles away, and then she turns back home. Okay, that's what's going on. All right, so let's look at each of these sections. A, right, in section A, they went 20 miles in 2 hours, which is 10 miles an hour. And we were increasing our speed. I didn't ask that. Well, I bet you I'm going to ask it in the section below. So I'll just put it's increasing our speed or speeding up. Section B here, again, 2 boxes is worth 8 miles. And we did that in just 1 hour. So that's 8 miles an hour. And we were slowing down or decreasing our speed because it's bent that other way. C is the 0 miles per hour. We went 0 miles in 1 hour. And last but not least, we biked home at a constant speed. It was 28 miles. And then how long did it take us? It took us 2 hours. So it took us 2 hours. And so we biked home at a constant speed, right? I'm going to write constant, at 14 miles per hour. Right? Label each as when it's bent the red way, it's increasing speed or speeding up. B is decreasing speed or slowing down, and D is a constant speed. C is stopped. Okay, so let's try one here. Plot a graph in which you start 0 miles from home, so start at 0, 0. Then you drive 75 miles at a constant speed for 2 hours. So we have to get to 75, but it's got to take 2 hours, and it's got to be a straight line because it's constant speed. That's what we just drew. For the next 3 hours, so 3, 4, we're going to end up at 5. Speed up as you drive another 150 miles, right? So 75 plus another 150 is 225. So we're going to be way up there, and we have to get to 225, but we have to bend it to show speeding up. All right, we sped up in that section. Immediately turn around, which is improbable since we're speeding up as we zoom to 225, but let's assume that you can speed up to a really high speed and immediately turn around and drive home at a constant speed of 75 miles every hour. All right, that's 75 miles every hour. So 75 miles is 3 boxes. So we have to go 3 boxes every hour. 1, 2, 3. 3 boxes every hour. Oh, and that works out. And you get home at 75 miles an hour. It's going to take you 3 hours exactly to get home. And you're back home in 8 hours. All right, let's find the average speed in each section. Right, A is 150 in 2 hours. This should be old hat by now. 75 miles per hour. Section B, right, should be the old 0 miles per hour because we're flat. Now C, this is a little different. C, right, let's see. We start at 150 and we get down to 75. So 150 minus 75 is 75. So we go 75 miles and it takes 1, 2, 3 hours. And that's 25 miles per hour. And section D, okay, is right there. And it's ending at 9. And so section D is the same as C, right? We're going 3 boxes, 75 miles. In the same 3 hours, it's 25 miles per hour. Now, A, we know is speeding up. Hopefully you've memorized that. All right, B obviously is stopped. Now, C. Now, facing the other way. What about the bends here? What's going on? All right, C, you're going slow at the beginning and you're speeding up. All right, that's what's speeding up. Now, you don't have to memorize it this way, but you could figure it out. Look, in that first 2 hours, we only go 1 box. But in the last hour, we go 2 boxes. We went much faster. And same, so D is the opposite. D, we're going really fast right there where I put the arrow. And we're slowing down in section D. All right. All right, so this one does not start at 0, 0. It says start 75 miles from home. Okay, so start there. Plot a graph that shows you increasing your speed as you drive 100 miles away from home. So we have to go 100 plus, we're at 75, we add 100, we're at 175. We're way up there. And we have to do that in 2 hours. So we end up there, and increasing speed means it bends like that. Okay. Then start to slow down as you drive for the next 75 miles in 2 hours. Well, each box is worth 25, so there's 25, 50, 75, and now we're going to be at 4 hours right there. So we're bending it the other way. We're slowing down. We're now 250 miles from home. Then stop the car for an hour, right? So that stays there. Then return all the way home at a constant 50 miles per hour. So 50 miles per hour means every single hour you go 50 miles, which is 2 boxes here, right? So every single hour you go 2 boxes, and it says constant speed. So it's straight. So every single hour you go 2 boxes. And look at that. We got all the way home in exactly 10 hours. All right. Good luck with the homework. Take care.